Welcome back. Today we are going to create fast API RESTful web app, and we will use this endpoint for our iOS app. Actually, that should be interesting tutorial because you are starting with fast API. We will create our custom RESTful API such as with CRUD endpoint, get, post, put, and delete. And after that, we call this endpoint in our iOS app, and just from here we are allowed to do post and of course delete and edit and get all our notes or our to-dos app. Actually, we are not going to create to-dos, is maybe just something like note to, but of course we will do all CRUD. Okay, now let's start. I close this app, of course, and now just from terminal I'm going to dev folder, and from here create a new folder or directory, name it for example full stack, maybe REST API, and cd full stack array, and from here open our Visual Studio Code. Okay, great. The first step, I'm going to create virtual environment. Now as you can see, it's created set. And after active our virtual environment, it's time to install some dependency for our fast API. I have already requirements file. I copy paste from here. As you can see, this should be all our dependency. You can download it from GitHub just by typing pip install -r requirement.txt. It's time and to start. Okay, I'm going to create some folder, model for our model, controller or repository. Choose the name what you want. Database. For database we are going to use SQLite, but you can use anything else. Route for our route, and what do we need else? I don't know, maybe a schema, of course, and just from here the schema. Okay, great. To continue, I just create new main.file or root.py. Choose the name that you want. It's not matter which name you want to choose. And just what I need to do, just from at the first, I'm going to import unicorn to run our project from fast API, import fast API, and what we need else at this time, I'm just going to create instance from fast API and call our first endpoint. Sample home. as a message, for example, welcome to REST API or full stack REST API. And the next step is to run our project. We are going to use UV code. Just from UV code.run. Okay, what we need to run: main file and app instance, our current folder, and reload should be true. We should be up to date, and we run our project on port 5000. Okay, great. Let's run our project. Python, the name of our file. Okay, now as you can see is running, but I should double quotation. Okay, now let's run our project. I should make a stop now. Okay, now as you can see, we will get our first endpoint and should return welcome to REST API. If I open docs, you can see should be our first endpoint as a get, and if I run it, 200 response body, our message. Great. Now what we need else? Now I'm going to start from database, create a file, connection.py. We can, I think, copy that, fast API database. Okay, I'm going just to create database from, okay, I copy this line code and paste it here. We want to create SQLite, and what we need else, just we need to create the instance from database that we can call it as a dependency. Okay, what we need to do, I just want to create get db, and what I want to do, I just want to say db from session local, just try here db, and of course finally b dot close. That means every time I call this method, open database and allow us actually to do some operations. As you can see, we don't have any error because we don't call anything here, and this is the name of our database. If you want, you can change that. Okay, now the next step is to create a model for our app, and I name it, for example, node file or node model. Yeah, node model .py, and from here, I do screenshots from fast API. We need to add, let me to do something else because we need to call our database and some other stuff. I can say from database.connection base import, and what we need actually here, column, of course. We need string and boolean, I don't think, integer as well. Okay, now just from SQL. Okay, the SQL, I need to find, okay, great, class node, and name it node, and from base, this base is coming from database. From here we are creating instance from our connection string. Okay, now table name should be node. Nodes or node is not matter, or just node. And we have an ID, and our first column should be integer, of course, and primary key true as well. And what I need else, index should be true as well. And the next property should be title, for example, and column as a string. None of it else should be false. What do I need else? Content, for example. Yeah, should be a string as well. And false. And what we need else? We need category as well. Okay, now looks good. And let me to format. As you can see, I install some other dependency. The name is auto deep 8, and allow us to format our code. Okay, great. We have our model. I just want to create schema. I name it node schema.py. Okay, what we need to do, we need to create a constructor, we need to create a frame, just a frame or just a schema for our project. That means every time that I want to create an instance or do some things, it should be like something's like constructor, this schema, and allow us. And what's interesting from a schema, later I will show you. From a schema we can from web app we can do some, it should be easier to work from post and edit, because we have some instance on some instance code to edit it. From typing, just import list maybe, and I did what's important from Pydantic import base model. Okay, now I need a class. I name it, for example, node base schema and base model. Now what we have here, we have title, and should be int, should be str as well. Okay, now we need some class is some class config. We can copy that class 20 from fast API website as a default. I think okay, do something like that. Okay, great. That should be our schema, and every time I will call this class as a schema to do CRUD actually. Now I want to close everything from here. The next step is to create actually we can create our route as well, but before that I'm going to create our first repository, and I name it node, for example crud.pay. Okay, what we need to do here, we're going to create our methods, and or actually it's our functions, because I'm not going to use any class. I just want to create any functions for any CRUD. Okay, now just from SQL alchemy.orm import session. Okay, now our first method should be do a post or create node. To do that, name it for example create as well, and as a payload node schema dot node base schema, and db should be our from session. Let me to do try. What I need to do, just from here create a variable, for example in new node, and from class node payload pick. Okay, we are going to get as you can see, we get a class from here as an object and convert it to dig, because we want to have a HTTP body request and accept just object, and we are converted to dig. db dot add node, db dot commit, of course, dot refresh, and at the end return what we can return, for example as a status we can say just success, and return new node object what we are created. Okay, looks good. And if we have any except, we can just say from exception as if, for example, just return error should be what we can return. Maybe an error, for example, CRUD should be good as well. And now just str as a string. I just want to return our error. If, and finally we can db.class. Okay, great. Now let's allow to create our endpoint route. Name it node route. Okay. And just from fast API request, of course, and response as well. Status for exception or anything else. And from database, import our database connection. And from model, we are insert node model. What we need is, and from typing, of course, what we need, anything list we can use, optional, of course. And now from SQL.orm, I'm going to import session. And from repository, our controller, you can change it to controller name, yeah, as you want, because as a default for fast API, more developer using, I don't know, as a default this is a structure, they call it repository. And just import node CRUD. And what we need is, of course, we need our schema. From schema, just import node schema. As you can see, we have this. We will create this as well. Okay, now great. Now let's start. I just want to create the instance from API router because it's more clean code. Yeah, just node router from API router. And API router has a property from constructor. You can see as a prefix. We can define a prefix for any endpoint, or for this model endpoint I just want to use, for example, I don't know, maybe a get or sorry, maybe node. No, this is better, looks good. Okay, we are going to create our first endpoint. Now just call in node editor post. That means our endpoint should be something like that. Node slash create, for example, and create. I think we don't need anything else. Okay, just def. I give a name, create node, but if you want, you can choose the same name as your repository. For example, here we have create name, the name of CRUD operation. You can choose create as well here, but I don't know. I prefer to have a different name. Okay, but it's not matter actually if you use create as well. Okay, as you can see here I need a two parameter payload and db. Payload is coming from node schema and node base schema. I can say payload node schema base, and another is db, and session should be depends on database. And then now just return CRUD. We call node CRUD dot create method. As you can see, take a two parameter here, payload and db, and I give this to payload equals payload and db equals db. Now as you can see, at this time we don't have any database, we are not created. I am coming back to main, just from model import. If you have a more than one model, for example 2 3 5, you cannot call any model from here, from main. You can do that, but it's not clean code. I prefer to create another class or another directory to do that actually, as a class or a static class. And from model import not model, and from database just connection import engine to create our database, and from route dot not route import and not router. As I said, if you have more than one model and more than one router, you can create a separate class for that. Now as well, just from not model just base dot metadata create all and should be engine. Okay, as you can see, after that create our database automatically. Now we have our SQL database, and the next step is to create a table for this data. Actually, so should create a table and our database from a node model. I name it, for example, db config, and from app dot include router, I just want to define our router. Okay, great. Actually looks good. I want to stop our project and run it again. And let me to go to docs. As you can see, our route endpoint is there, and let me required. As you can see, is not our schema is not here. Sorry, something is wrong here. I'm coming back to our schemas. Sorry, and now title from base model. Actually, we call that as everything's okay. Sorry, my bad. Okay, now as you can see, we are going to use a schema to have this example value as a schema, because we cannot for more models property we cannot type anything here. For example, title by content new laptop category. Okay, now as you can see, we are return response body status is success, and from node we are create our first object. Okay, great. Then now is the time to create next endpoint. Should be get. I'm from here inside node CRUD dev get or fetch is depend to you which name you want to choose. I'm just created. Okay, now db, as you can see from here is the same things. We need a database for every every methods or every functions. Then we for do any operation we are going to open database, do some operation, and finally close our database. You don't need actually to do that. Actually you need to do that because we are said auto flash false, auto commit false, but it's more cleaner if you close your database as well, because from here we are open it. And now what we need else, just from session, what we need else, we can say try return what we need to return from db.get db.query from class node. I just want to take all, and we can copy this line code as well. Now should be status accept sorry, that should be true. Error is an error occurred. Okay, great. And the next step, I'm coming back from here to create a second router and assign node router dot get, and I can name it, for example, fetch or get. Choose the name what you want and just def get all nodes, and just what we need to do, just to send, if I open it again from here, just need as a parameter need database. Just I can say, I can actually copy that for here, and now just return node CRUD dot get all as a parameter, db equals db. Now let's come back. Get is there, get all node, true. Okay, now as you can see, we get all nodes as a class, as a list. As you can see, we have a list of objects. If I create something else and come back, you can see we get two object of list. Okay, great. And the next things is to do update, for example, def update. Okay, for update, of course, we need more things, and we need an ID to find right or correct object, and we need a pilot to update our object. Our get object as model, actual model object, we can update it. And of course we need db session always to do any operations. You can actually define a class here, and this db session as initialization here, or as a constructor, you can define that as well, but I prefer to use that. And node id should be int, of course, and payload again should be node from here and db from session. Okay, what we need to do is at the first we are going to find the right object that we need. We are going to find an object with ID. To do that, node query equals what we need to do, db dot query node, of course. And now on node I want to do filter, and I'm looking for node dot id that is equal to our node id. Now db node query dot first, return the first thing that find it, but we need to be sure that is worked. That means db node find this object. To do that, we can check, we can say if not db node, that means if not found, versus from fast API, then HTTP exception and status to manage our. Actually, I use this exception. You can use HTTP exception from fast API or just from here as a Python. And HTTP exception, we can say status code should be from status.404 not found, and details, we can define a details, for example just not found. Okay, if not found, if found, just update query. We are going to do that just from preload dict, because we are do any operation as dict here is dictionary. We cannot work from object class, and we are converted every times to dict. I think is exclude set should be true, and node query dot filter where node id where node should be that id equals node id, just then update that. Okay, we need update query, and we need to do update data, because update query or update data, just update data, and synchronization should be false. db that commit, of course, after that, and db dot refresh db node, of course, and okay, now it looks good. And let's check that if it's work correctly. We have, okay, sorry, I forgot to call it from here. It's pretty easy again, just this time add node route that put just update or just update. Okay, and we need to send id or name it because from here we get this node ID. I give the same name. And what we need else, just def update node. Okay, and as a parameter, as you can see, we have three things, and we don't need any we don't need any actually we need all of them, because we need payload, as you can see, we need db, and we have int, and of course we need node id as int. Okay, great. After that, just return node CRUD dot update method as a parameter. You can see need node id, payload, and db. This is a payload. I have already said is our schema is structure. And okay, node id equals node id, payload should be payload as well, and db should be db as well. Okay, looks good. Now again, let's come back. As you can see, we have a put. I want to, what we have actually, of course we have 1 and 2 ID. Okay, I get ID 1, ID 1 has, or ID 2 title should be travel. I need 2 title travel, and content, for example, flight to I don't know, Italy, and should be hobby. Now as you can see, we get an error because an error name is new, it is not defined, new node is not defined. Okay, let's come back and new node, but we don't have any new node query. An error record new node. Oh, okay, from here, of course we don't need to return new route here from update, because I just copy paste that. db node is actually db node should be okay. Now again, now as you can see, ID 2 status is success, and title change it to travel hobby as well, and I get it again. Now as you can see, travel hobby and things. Okay, great. And we need to do delete as well. Again, I think we can copy this. Actually it should be long video, I think. That actually to delete it, we don't want to change or add any things. That means we don't need any schema. Payload, we just need to find it before deleted, we must be sure it exists. If exists, then I just want to say node, we can say node query from here, node query dot delete what on, and synchronized should be false, and db commit, we don't need any refresh, status success deleted, success updated, and okay, looks good. We'll come back. Oh, sorry, every time I forgot to create here. Again, add sign node router dot delete. Okay, delete, and as a parameter node ID to delete it. Okay, def delete route. Okay, and I just want to copy that again without any pipe. Okay, great, and return node it as a parameter. As you can see, node ID should be node ID, and db should be db. Now, as you can see, our delete is there. Okay, get, we do get, for example, we want to delete id2, and I give id2 number success deleted, and we don't need to actually return a node because I did a copy paste. As you can see, now we have just one things. Okay, great, and that was our fast API RESTful endpoint, and pretty easy, and really I liked it. I like fast API. For a long time I just work with Django or Flask. Actually, I think fast API is something else. I like it, and it's pretty and easy to use. And from here, okay, great. Now that we have our API, it's time to start with another endpoint. We are going to start to work with iOS app. We want to use this endpoint to do CRUD operations such as post, get, put, and delete. I'm from here. I just create new Xcode app. I think I can minimize this as well, and now just create new project. Actually recommended. Sometimes it's lazy. Okay, now from choose template, tap iOS tab, choose the app, give a name for our project. For example, I don't know, maybe iOS REST API, and just all it can be as well. Okay, interface should be Swift UI and language Swift as well. Straight, we don't need any database, and continue. In your directory, create new folder. Okay, great. Now, as you can see, our project is started and is created successfully. The next step as you can see, we want to use our fast API endpoint. That means we call our endpoint locally from localhost, and we need to do some stuff that Xcode accept or could be able to call this local endpoint. Just from your app name, choose info tab, and here at the end from custom iOS target property, I choose app transport security setting, and then enter. After that, as you can see in the left side here, we have new file, is the name is info, and under that we can create app ability. I think that was local ability. Let me to check again the name. I'm not sure. I have it here. Allow attributability loads actually is short. Allow now again. Allow ability loads should be there, and then enter. Okay, now we can continue just from our app content page, load our content view, and okay, great. We have hello world, and just from here I run our simulator as well. Okay, at the left side, I just want to create some group or folder. The name, the first we need the model, and we need new group repository or controller, and of course we need view. And we are starting from model, inside model, new file, and from this tab choose a template. I choose Swift file. Next, the name, for example, is the same way as fast API node model file. And inside node model file, I create class, or let me do work with structure, struct node, and coming from codable, and in I think now is enough. Let me to continue. Okay, we need ID. Of course, should be var ID. Should be int. Of course, we need another variable, another property. That was title. Should be a string as well. Var content should be a string as well. And of course, we need category should be a string again as well. And as you can see, we don't to do any post or update any ID because it's our primary key. I choose this question mark here, and after that, when I create constructor, I allow actually this ID allow to be empty. And the next things, okay, that we are starting from our controller, and we can write our first fetch method. And to do that, let me to start. That should be here for me. Okay, Should we close this windows? Now, to be sure that I have everything here, now I can start it. Okay, now as you can see, our simulator is started as well automatically. Okay, the next things from controller, I create new file. I give, for example, the name of file should be node controller. And inside node controller, I'm going to create our first class for our project. For example, I give maybe uh, node last node sorry node controller view, for example, and from observable object. Okay, and the first things is to I'm going to mark. Okay, great. Should be fetch node end point. And now from here, I call function, for example, fetch node. Okay, great. Okay, what we need to fetch a node, I'm going just to what we need a base address. Actually, as you know, for example, to call a node from here, if I call our endpoint from here, docs get to get. Now, as you can see, we have this path. I want to choose this path, and from here, I'm going to create let prefix URL would be this path. And now let's to start just from here again. Just by typing great, great. Okay, and it should be coming from as you can see here. You can see the next thing is condition, and then our statement. Our condition should be, for example, let URL from URL class, and I pass this prefix name. We can pass it like that, prefix URL, and then after prefix is coming node get. That means we don't need any node get here. And that should be write something else, not view control, I think. Okay. There's actually some people write a note view model. For me, actually, it's not model. I it's it's more. I can understand it better. This name of class actually, and after that, uh, we can say else if not find this URL. For example, you don't have an internet or URL is the endpoint is down and the website is not more available, you can just control that and do a return that is not find anything. And oh, sorry, I forgot to do that. Something else, string we need as well. Now looks better. After that, we are going to call URL session. URL session dot shape dot data task with URL, and we return three things: data, of course, response, and error. After call endpoint can be occur these three things. We are get data, response, or error. And to manage it, we can say if we have error, if let error, for example, equals error. When we have error, just we can say print this error to do error fetching note, and just again we can print error as well. We can just say print error, and that should be the first actually things from here. If you have error, if we have response, actually at this time we don't want to work with response, because if you want to know which response is which you get which response code, you can write this response as well. But what I need to do, it's important to get data. Actually, simply is like error. We can say if we have data, if we have data, just do, okay, and do let notes, for example, try JSON decoder. Why decoder? Because you should need to know endpoint just working with JSON dictionary file as an object. That means we are going to get this information, something like that. As you can see, we have list of object. Actually, it's list of dictionary or just simple string object. But we need to convert that because I cannot work with this information directly. I want to convert this dictionary to list of node model. I can here, for example, create publish for list nodes. I can say I have list of node class at the first and is empty. And we want to decode from anything, should we decode anything to node from self, sorry, from data, from data. That means we get all data And after get all data, we are going to, I think I forgot to do that. Some things decoded should be here. Sorry, decode. Okay, now decode node dot self from data. Okay, we get this data from URL and convert all data to list to list of our model node model class. And after that, we want to say is patch q.main.async is something like fast API refresh async self dot list nodes that we are created from here should be append all data to list of our model from nodes. And what we need else, what's wrong here? Do let nodes. And oh, sorry. Okay, and if we are not allowed to catch this data, we can manage it to catch error. Catch error and just print that, for example, error by decoding node. And we can easily print this error as well. And after that, just from here, we can just simply we can just simply from that should be from this method dot our method that reason sorry is coming from URL session. That means the URL session do resume as well. That should be and okay. The next step, we have fetch information. As you know, now we get this information as dictionary, list of dictionary. From here, JSON decoder, we are convert this data to list of node class. And after that, we are append this list of node class to these methods. And as you can see, we have published observable object. That means we have custom object, and we are allowed to call this custom object anywhere. Now from view, I create new file, should be Swift UI. Next, I name it, for example, show note view. And create it. And from here, just create the instance from node controller. To do that is pretty easy. Just you're going to say @sign observable object should be our custom. And what's the name of this class? Node view controller or node controller view, as what you want to choose. Equals that. Okay, now let's start from here. I am going to create navigation stack, for example, or view. I want to do something else. Mark. And of navigation, for example. And from here, I create a list. And should be here. Mark. I do that because should be easy to read and of list. And we have our forage. And inside forage again, we have mark end of forage. Okay, great. What we need to from forage, we want to create a loop on our list from here because we have this list of our data from endpoint and we want to print it. Just we can say node node view controller dot list and as task or node, I don't know what name you want to choose. Now just from here and we can say, for example, our H stack and image, and this image could be system name node and dot frame, choose weight, for example, 50 and height 50 as well. And the important things is from here, from text, I choose from node dot title. Okay. And what's wrong here? Looks better. And another things is that because okay, I think I know because we need another in what's the name of these things? That should be in the okay, I cannot remember what was that. Identifier, maybe identifier. Okay, because we are going to use this. We are going to do that actually as nodes. We should be countable to do this loop, and nodes should be countable. Now, okay. And another thing, as you can see, we have our app, display app, and we call this list, and we are allowed to print this list in our app. But how we can call this method? We need at the first call this method to do this operation and fill this list node. To do that, just from end of list, we can say that on appear node view controller dot fetch that I call this method, and we can do something else which will be more beautiful for list style, I think, dot insert. Okay, now let's start our project. Oh, sorry, because we are calling this node view and we don't need a node view, show node view. And then again, Not sure. I think we have some error here. As we can see again, cannot start load from here. It is not from API policy, blah blah blah, and in RC it's not legal error actually. And transport security app transport security. I think I did that. And okay, maybe from here. Okay, and we need app transport security, as I have already said. Enter, replace it. App. We don't have app transfer security, and again from here, no. Plus ability load. Okay, what I forgot to do that actually is to important. As you can see, as default no should be yes. If I can do this, that's yes. So change to okay. Okay. Okay, now yes is yes. As a yes, as you can see, as a yes is, if I see that, should be true as well. Okay, close that and run this program again. Okay, great. As you can see, we get our fetch endpoint as a string. You can see from here, we have two objects, and we get this object and show this object as well here. The next things is to create our post method. And I should be copy this time. And from here, I change it to post. I can say post node or create node, what you want, maybe post. And again, we need to know the endpoint of post or create. Actually, here we need to choose create. If you want, you can choose the same name. Okay, if I do execute, you can see we have node create. I change it to create, more cleaner. Okay, node create. Now, after create, what we need to do, just simple. We need to post. I have already said endpoint is working just with, as you can see, as a dictionary, as an object dictionary. That means we get this information from our app as a object of class, object of node class, and we need to first convert this object to dictionary, and as a body we can send it as a post method to endpoint. That means from here, request, I can create variable request. I want to do a request as URL request. We have URL on our URL and request.http method post and request. Let me copy this. There's some things. Request that add value, as you know, that is should be default value for content type and JSON file. If you work with Postman or something else, you know this. a format of dictionary. And the next step is to do, as I have already said, we need to get this new node uh, from node class. We get this node and we need to convert it to object of class to object of dictionary to dictionary. To do that, just pretty simple. We need to say let request data, for example. Try what we need to try JSON encoder this time. Dot encode. Okay, the value new node. Okay, that means in one line code we convert list of object of class to encode to JSON encoder, should be dictionary, and then just want to say request that HTTP body equals request data. If cannot do this request or convert it, or if we catch error, we can manage it as well again, just by print error and new error encoder, for example, encoder new node, and just we can print this error as well. And of course, because we have do, we can do it. And the next step here from session, as you can see, with URL session, share data with URL, which should be with this request, of course, and data response and error. And if again we have error, we want to print this error. If we have data, that's mean, as you can see, after do post in fast API, we get this post as a 200 response body. We can print it as well, or we can we don't need the response code. We can just return this response, what we have added or posted. To do that, we can create node, just publish it, create node, and from node class, of course, something like that. Okay, now let's come down, and here I can say create node, take what we have created, what we have posted actually, should be created node, create node actually. Or not create node actually, but we have decoded and posted should be these nodes, or create node, created node, non-specific. Okay. Great. I think looks again good, but we have some assigned value node. Okay, what we have node? We don't have any node. Okay, let's create node actually should be true, and we are going to decode this node. Because we don't want to post the list of node, we just want to post just simple object of node. We don't have any array, of course. And after created, we can call this self.fetch node as well. And looks good. Come back. We are create new file to post method. We can give the name create the node view, for example. Okay, now from here, I'm going to create this post, but before continue from create node, we need to do some things from here, show node view. I want to add some button here to open sheet page, see sheet open, view app, and add this information, call this post method actually. To do that, I'm coming back and just from here, add sign, or before that, let me to start from I don't know, you can from list maybe, because here we have list, we can add an end of the list. We can save dot navigation title should be node list for us. Looks better and beautiful. And dot toolbar. Inside toolbar, we are allowed to have a more toolbar item, but at this time we just need one toolbar item. Placement and constant, or just placement. As a placement, we can say dot navigation, something like that. And content, of course, we need content as well, but I want to do something else. I want to close it and open new content from here. I need a button and just showing. I want to do something else. If I touch or click on this button, we need a variable, for example, to toggle is present. We need to present this just observable object is showing, for example, we can say showing create node, because we want to toggle on this create node view is present create node, for example, create node as a default should be false, of course. And false. Okay. And I'm coming back and I say is present create node dot toggle. That means every time you touch this button, change it from false to true, true to false. But if it's false, if it's true, we want to show our sheet app page, and to do that, let me to create a label at the first from here for this node, and label would be add node and system name, system image, or system can be plus dot circle, for example. Okay, just plus. It's not working as well. We have some error. Okay, what's wrong here? Observable object var and not also a boolean object. Why cannot be? And observable. Oh, sorry, because we are not calling this custom object from anywhere, is inside here should be a state, and then plus dot circle. Okay, great. Now should be work. As you can see, we have this button, and every time I click here, should be from toggle, change it from true to false, false to true. But if it's true, then dot sheet. We are going to create our sheet page to call this sheet is present equals is present create node, of course, and content could be what we need as a content. Only we have a state, as you can know, every time state is calling from this dollar. And now, if it's true, then show call create node view. And okay, and then on appear, every time is appear because every time we call and add any post, we open this page, we want to fetch after delete or after insert anything inside this create view, we want to refresh this page. To do that, we can say on appear node view controller dot fetch, and every times that means you call here is coming this create view, and I close this, and on close I can on this appear call node view dot fetch as well, to be sure you have always current response from here. I should be refresh it. And now come back to here. Inside create node, what we need to do, we need to create our new page, a new app for create. And I'm starting from, I can copy this from here. We need this method because from here we want to call create method inside controller. And as you can see, environment is that is myth as a var should be this miss. Why we need it? Because after I open this created node from showing view, and when I sweep it to button, something like that, I must be sure it's closed actually. And now let's come back from here. Okay, and let's just start from here. Navigation, for example, a stack, or this time we can use view. Navigation view as list, as section. Okay, we need text field, the first text field for title, and get. Okay, what we need to pass here, we need more other state, local state. We are going to create a state private var title should be as a default empty. Okay, I need content and category as well. Let me to create state again from node as well, node class, because we want to, as you can see here, controller need an object of class node. We need to create object from node class and send it to this method. After that should be this object encoder to dictionary, and as a post, as a HTTP body, we post it to endpoint. Now, that should be from node class as a default allowed to be empty. Rolling it as well to be sure we don't get any error. And now from here, just text should be dollar title, and again 3 times, and content category as well, should be category. Section can have a header. For header, we can say label or text as what you want. For example, I don't know, create new node. Okay, as you can see, is added here as well. If you want, you can do some style as well. And then we need button to submit all information. Button action. From action, we need to create let node, or I name it the same new node that I have created from here, new node. And I'm going to create the instance and call this constructor. Title should be title, content as well, and category as well. This looks good. And after create the object of class, I'm calling view node view controller that create. As you can see, new node should be new node, and then this I call that. And the name of our button, as you can see, we have just simple button. We can define a name for our button. I can say, I can actually just want to do something else. Let me delete that. And no, just create custom text. For example, submit. And what we need to do for submit, we need Font, for example, can be heading dot foreground color can be white. I don't know, maybe we can give padding, or we can fit this frame weight for 300, height can be 50, and background color, for example, color dot black or green, and core radius can be 50. Looks good. Looks good. Okay, now let's start our project. If we have any error or no, I'm not sure. Okay. That's great. I give title, for example, by content, for example, title should be laptop by new laptop, and category is hobby. And after submit, as you can see, is added successfully. We are allowed to call this method and post new, call this endpoint. Sorry, from here call this post node endpoint and send the first post actually. Of course, if I open that and do execute, oh sorry, that was no post from get. We have laptop, hobby category, and content by new laptop. So perfect. The next thing is to delete. I want to copy this method because it's the same. The post should be delete. Of course, for delete, we don't want to send the object. Actually, we can do that, but we can do that something else with node ID. We can delete as actually we cannot at this time work with object because we are create our endpoint, and this our endpoint to for delete, as you can see, get a node ID. That means we need to create to send this ID of from integer. As you can see, it should be integer, and that means node ID as int, and create should be delete. And okay, and now we change this method name to delete node, and I cannot remember how we can delete anything. For example, node ID 1 it's not exist. 2 maybe. Okay, successfully deleted. That should be our endpoint, and it means it's coming from here. All that we need, you can see we get this node ID from parameter as a parameter, and then it's coming this node the lead, and after delete, as you can see, is coming this node ID number that is coming from node. not not ID. Okay, looks good. Now let's do continue. Just we must do. We are not going to create any pose. Delete. And again, we don't want to send anything else. HTTP body, that means we don't need it as well. And this as well as two. But what's important that we need to know, we send a request. After request, as you know, we don't get a response, or we have data. If we have error, we can manage our error. And if we have I don't know what we return. What is we return? Actually, not any as object. Actually, it's dependent. You have custom endpoint. That means you can delete, send a request delete as you want, and you can get the details as you want, what you want. You can get any response from fast API. This depends to your programming, what you want. All things that you here have, you can use it here as well. Actually, as data, I don't want to return anything, just maybe the ID number. I can say delete deleted node ID, and from here you can say publish var node ID should be integer, and as a default, of course, allowed to be null. And okay, now we can continue, and we can say if we have error, we want to delete it. And if we don't have any error, actually it's not important because we don't want to return any data as well. As you can see, we don't return any things. We don't return any object or something else. And that means we don't, after delete, we don't need actually to show what we have deleted. And we don't need it as well, I think. If let HTTP response equals response as, for example, HTTP URL response, and we can say HTTP response the status code after deleted. As you can see, it can, for example, we can get this error if 2 equals 204 or 200, just this patch q dot main dot asynchronous, so self dot deleted ID equals to what we have deleted. Oh, sorry, I'm by fetching node. Oh, sorry, my bad. Fetch node. And from here, just if that HTTP response equals response response has HTTP URL response and HTTP response dot status code should be equals to 204 or 200. That means this patch queue dot main dot asynchronize self dot deleted ID is to task. Sorry, yes, to the node ID. This node ID. We don't need to get anything more actually. We can just return what we have deleted. If you want to return all object that you are deleted, you need to change this endpoint because our endpoint doesn't return this this response. That means if you need that, you can do that. And here, of course, you can return it as well, or you can here write another method to find from this ID object, and after deleted, you can before deleted actually get this object and delete it and return this object that you have deleted. And self dot fetch data. I think it looks good now. It's not anything more, it's just a simple code because we are going to delete. We call this endpoint what's important for us, and you're fetching with request, and looks good, I think. Okay, now come back to showing. I want to do some things on for each, on delete, okay. Index syntax. Okay, what we need to do, we want to sweep from left or right to delete object. As you can see, on delete is there. That means we are allowed to sweep it in anything from here. Actually, it's pretty easy again as well. What we need to do, just actually it's not simple because every time that we are trying to delete any object from this list, we are unfortunately we don't have access to ID. Simply, that means we must at the first find this ID that we want to delete it. From list for each we have actually, because it's out of this for each, as you can see, is out of this for each, and we cannot access to note the title easily. That means at the first from index set of this list or this for each list loop, we need to find ID and then send ID to view to node control delete method and call endpoint delete. To do that, let pretty red, for example, item equals index set dot map. Okay, and from node controller dot list dot find first list $0. That should be the first things that find return ID, and then from optional value should be int, allowed to be null, and retrieve item that first that is returned. And after that, if let unwrap it value, of course. We are going to say optional value. Optional value actually should be as, that should be int, because that is the unwrapped is just an index that should be converted to id. If let unwrapped, for example, optional value, if let unwrapped value equals, we don't need it is more because we need a condition, and under condition can say let integer value equals, that should be our integer value, that should be our id, equals unwrapped value, that's it, that should be index at this time. And note view controller dot list, at the first I just want from here unwrapped value converted to value to id, actually that I get it as an integer id. Now at the first, before I am deleted from database, from endpoint, call it endpoint, I deleted from list and then from database. I can say dot remove offset in integer it's wrong here, integer actually, sorry, because list is worked not from id, is worked from index set. I'm going to delete from index set, but node controller dot delete node id need just node id node id, and let me come back id, and here node id, I change it to node id as well. This looks better, I think. And else, sorry, I cannot find that now. Else, if not work it, just as always print error that optional value is nil. And after delete, what I want to do, I just want to do something else. From here, after delete from database and list, on disappear, or on disappear, we can refresh our form by node view controller dot fetch data. So things looks good. Let's run that. We have two errors. Node ID, it's not in scope, of course. I change it to this node ID, and another this node ID as well. Now I'm going to delete the first things. I think it's worked, I'm not sure. And if I run this program again, okay, it's not working. We can check what's wrong here. and why is not working? I think let me do something else. I'm not sure. Okay. Okay, now as you can see, there's delete method worked as well. Actually, I didn't understand what I'm not sure is about here, or I didn't change anything from here. Actually, that should be everything's in. It's okay. I just want to add this add method, and I'm totally sure it's not up here. It's not. Try to do that again. Let me do a post. No, laptop again because I have deleted, and should be buy new laptop and category, and I delete some other things and run it again. That means I just want to be sure it's working correctly. And okay, now it's good and it's working great. Now we have 3 endpoint, get, post, and delete. It's time to work with update. And for update, I'm coming back. And what we need to do, I just want to copy this method, and from here, I just want to continue to do this, actually this update. And update is should be, we can do there are too many ways to do update again. If you want to work with ID, or if you want to after update, I think we return an object here. I cannot remember how many. Okay, what we have 8 and 10. For example, for 8, I must be sure code. Okay, for example, 8 title should be 12, sorry, 12, and CNS, and for the and no, no, no. Okay, okay. Now, as you can see, number 8 is updated, and we could get this this object of model. If I do it, okay. Now it looks good. It's updated successfully. I'm coming back, and we can say update node. Should be node from node, because we want to accept actually as a parameter we accept it. It's simply like this post, as a post should be, that was the same way, because we get a post as object, we convert it to dictionary and then post it again. And now we want to do that again, and now just I'm not check this again. We have update node update and node ID, and coming back update node update and come node ID here, and of course what we need is like post, and I want to copy this command line from there to here. Should be and then again application, and again we are going to, no, sorry, not here. I'm not sure why every time they do some cannot see that, because, oh sorry, it's delete, and here is update, and now here note that right there. This parameter, as I have already said, is completely depend to you how you want to work with parameter as ID or object. It's not important actually. It's completely different to you. Okay. Now, as you can see, we have put here, and again we have HTTP body request, and we need to encoder object to dictionary. And if we have error, we can delete error. And as you can see here, as a post, we need to return a value after updated. You have already seen after update, I get this information back. It means again, I just want to, I want to work with, actually it's the same like a post. I think we just need to this pattern HTTP method, and okay, and of course from here, if we have data, we can, sorry, if we have data, we want to return it. Okay, what we have need to do is clean update node is completely like create node. You can use this as well, or you can change this name to anything so you want, or you can create a new one and change it to update node, because it's a separate, actually a separate variable, but you can use which one you want. Okay, or you can have one like okay, that self ID should be to create node, should be updated node, and what we have is anywhere we have create name, we can change it to update. I think it looks pretty good. It looks good. Our last things, okay. Okay, now we'll come back how we want to update our information. There are again some difference where we can add a button, for example here, or we can add it from left to right or the right to left, or we can see, actually I want to do something else because we don't have a details view. We can do that after touch or click this title, we see travel, we see details view, and plus edit view, both of them in one side, in one. To do that, I just want to create new file. Again, Swift UI, I name it, for example, update view. And just from update view, what we need to do, before continue from here, let me come back and say here, from show, because I want to use navigation link to update node view. Update view. should be update node. I forgot to type this view. Okay, and close that as well, and show again. And coming back here to, for example, here, I declare navigation link. Okay, there is this destination. Destination is this. Okay, destination should be update view, and update view should take, we want to, after touch this title, we want to send this node. We want to send this object to next page, next app view, to transfer actually this object between two app view. We can say from here node node from okay, we can say, for example, object is better. The name of object should be task. And what's task? And I will show you. And after that, just open, and here I'm going to close that. As you can see, we have error because this argument passed to call. We need to do say we have some things to get from show node or some other stuff. Is pretty again easy. And again we need, of course, this controller, and again, what we need is we need the object from class node. And of course, add object here as well. Object from node. Okay, now and here. Okay, as you can see, missing argument parameter because our constructor says, and if I come back, okay, to model, as you can see, just ID don't need anything. That means we need an empty constructor, and how we can define it, and I don't know really. Okay, returning without integrator. And we'll say no. Okay, because we have constructor without, that should be okay. And from update, okay, looks good. I think now looks better. And if we come back, can say, sorry, not node, is node. Or maybe I wrote complete of, what did I do? Let me do, sorry, I'm coming back because I think I wrote something wrong here. Now if I'm coming here, can I say something like that? Or without it? Okay, missing argument parameter. Not, which actually is not for. We need to define this constructor. I think I'm not actually. I'm not sure. Okay, now sorry. We need to actually at this time because I just want to do that as well. I don't know. Of course, you can understand better because I'm not rational about this Swift, how we can create empty constructor, and I change actually this to, I allow this to be empty and I create empty constructor. Okay, and now we are coming back and now it looks good, and from showing and allow to be null as well. Okay, great. Now the next things we can we check if it's worked, and okay, if I can be able to navigate to next app. Okay, great. As you can see, it's worked, and I'm connected to next. Okay, perfect. And now let's continue. I'm coming here and just again, it's simply like our post. Maybe create. Maybe we can copy that from here to here, but this time title and looks good. And now just from here, I just need to say for or for I don't know, maybe we can copy this style as well because we have some things here. We can copy maybe this navigation and okay, now maybe looks better than we don't need it as well. Okay, we have text field and this text field from these things, and okay, what I forgot to do, yeah, I think I'm not sure, but okay, so let's go to what's happened when I say here text, for example, field style and round border text field style, and when I say something, oh, okay, it looks something like that, and I think that we don't need this. Okay, you have title, content, and thing, and what we need, what other text field, as you can see, as a default is title, but we want to receive title from show app after click here. We want to send this object to here. Actually, should be something like details app, and I want to say object dot title, and of course from here object dot content and object dot category. And what's wrong here? Okay, yes, of course, because I create, I'm not sure, sorry about these things. If you know how you can define a constructor, empty constructor, we do that, do something like this, you can write in comment that I can learn too. And because now I have to do something like that I say I allow to be allowed to be empty. Okay, if I choose travel, as you can see, travel, see new place, London. That's work is pretty great. And if I choose laptop, buy new laptop, and hobby. And what we need to change, this submit should be update, of course, and our action should be what we need another action. Actually, as I think for action, we get new information as object of note. I think we can use that. But what we need to do, we need to say everything is coming from here, and now update, update, and I want to change this name. New node should be update node, and I'm coming back to definition. Okay, there is not, it's not exist. Here, change this node to update node. I'm not sure where should I change this name. Here as well, and here as well. This looks better when you have the same name, and you can understand those things better. Okay, I'm coming back. I'm calling dot update node equals to updates node. Okay, now, no, it's not. Okay, now I think it looks pretty better. And what I forgot to do that, and for update, of course, we cannot to update ID. I think we don't need anything else. I'm not sure about ID because we don't update any ID. And of course, list that on appear, we want to fetch node view control dot fetch, get current information. I think it looks good. Now come back. And I'm to laptop, and I'm change it by new Lenovo laptop. Update it. Okay, we have some error here because from update I did copy paste. I forgot to change this path. Should be, I think I have already changed it to update because I changed the delete to update. Sorry, delete should be delete and should be update. Think. I hope. Okay, come back. Okay, now again, this time by new dead. Look, 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 look. Okay, and as you can see, we have some error. And what's wrong here? We catch that. And what's wrong? Except the nail while unwrapping. Of course, and maybe I'm sure everywhere I did copy paste, of course. And Let me come back to see what we need to do. We have prefix node update. We have update, and from update node, I will call here node ID, and okay, allow the node, and we get URL, we do put and application JSON from content type, and after that encoding our object to dictionary, of course. And from here, okay, URL session, and wait on request, of course. And if we have data, we can update our data. Okay, looks good, and I'm not sure about here. Let's come back to here. Okay, maybe the ID, I'm not sure. I think I know what's wrong ID. Maybe ID should be from object, for example, that ID. Because we need ID, this ID is too important to send this ID. Because here from controller, we take this ID from here. And if we don't define this ID that we get from another node, from another app view, we cannot send it. I hope this time is working. Okay, now let's to check. Okay. Buy new, buy old laptop. Okay. And we will come back. Okay, title, we don't have any title anywhere. Okay, as you can see, update is worked, and our information, we don't have any information anymore. Yeah, why? Because why don't take this information from here? From text field, we catch this information. How we can save this information every time we just wanted to update this part. Let me, for example, just for test, should be a string, and default value, of course, something like that. And now from navigation, I change it to maybe 4, how it looks like. Because actually we don't need navigation. Oh, sorry. Okay, understand. Okay, stop. Okay. Laptop, and should be hobby, laptop for hobby, and come back. I have laptop again. and we say new laptop for programming. I'm interested to see if laptop and hobby is anymore there. Okay, it's not there. And as you can see, after send it, I will really it's not think here is everything's true. Hmm. And okay, from here, ID title equals title. Because I think the problem is here inside our controller from update, because every time that I get it and we do an update and we say no dot save form, we don't need to fetch it again. Update none means please update mode. We get update. Okay, that is good, but how, what we can to do? How we can to save that? Mhm. Mhm. Now, actually, what we can to do, because we get at the first I thought I don't catch any information from there, but okay, what's wrong? Let me come back to back. Uh, no, that was update node. Okay. What I want to do, we can say, okay, what's wrong here? Okay, now it's not working as well. I just want to do something else. That means, and we can say, iOS is accepted. Okay. Okay, now I just want to say uh, if actually that should be this title is coming from our state. Easily we can say if title that is empty, and what we need to do, we can say title equals object that title, for example, and or we can of course copy this line code more 3 times if content is empty, object that content that object equals content. Okay. Or if what we need is category is empty, category should be equals that category as well. I think because what we do, we catch this, what's wrong here? We catch this information from state, title, content, and category and pass it here. And from here, actually, I cannot understand why our text field should be understand it when it's not, because as a default value, we get this default value object, the title. It means should be there, but it's not accept this. Okay, of course, when we don't change anything here, that means when we don't update our state, we want to have our information. Now let me to run it again. And I'm not sure if it's worked. Actually, it should be work because now it looks better. Now, for example, I say our laptop, and buy don't buy laptop in those hobby. Okay, if we come back laptop, because I changed everything, but I want to change this, please buy Windows laptop, submit, and if I come back, And as you can see, the boat is there. Now it's worked correctly and looks very good. Actually, that was okay. No, okay, no. And I don't know what's happened here. I just want to close. Okay. Uh, as you can see now, it's working correctly, and we have we are create our project with fast API endpoint. We are create our REST API from fast API, and then we call this endpoint inside our mobile app when we have did some stuff like put, get, update, and delete from here. And we have post, we have update. Actually, that should be interesting video, I think, because you can now create your custom fast API. Actually, I am Python programmer and I'm not too much familiar uh, with this iOS app, but it was, I think it was great and interesting. And you can do that, and maybe we can create next video of login, logout. From here, we can work with session, and we can do some more. And we can, at the first, we can create some other features in our fast API and use it here in our app. And should be interesting video as well. And I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye bye.